We're going to take a look at Heritage Audio's new Lang branded 500 series preamp, the 312L. It's definitely API style, and I happen to have an API console, so this is probably a perfect opportunity to do some really good comparisons. So that is exactly what we're going to do. I've done kind of my typical thing where I do a whole song front to back. I've used my radial mic splitters to split every single thing out to both the API preamps and the Langs, so we'll be able to go instrument to instrument and go back and forth and hear some differences, and then we'll kind of build up to a full mix and hear how everything kind of accumulates over a whole production. You'll notice for this video specifically, I'm using ADK's new Munich 7 mic to do all these. I've got 2 of them. I also did a video recently comparing the Munich 7 to my older 1990s Gefell UM70s. So you will see the Gefells in this video. If you're curious about that, go check out that video. But for this shootout, we're just going to hear the ADK mics through both of these preamps. So let's just go ahead and start out with individual instruments. Again, everything's split out to the Langs and the APIs, and we'll do some back and forths and go from there.
Easier said in sympathies. How do you sum up a legacy? is all that's left behind. How do you conquer circumstance? Is this the way the torch is passed? Unintentionally. Is anybody ever really ready for this? I think we're all just winging it. Da 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 da. 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 Thought of you the other day. Reached for the phone and pulled away. All habitually. Pain is never linear. Our minds get locked in cycles. It takes time to break free. Is anybody ever really ready for this? I know we're all just winging it. And I keep trying to write this song. It's on revision 3. Well, how do you sum up legacy in the midst of minor chords? So you force the major lift. Leonard Cohen taught me that. I can't seem to move past cycles in my head. Maybe time will help with that. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. Do 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 do. A blue 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 blue.
One last thing I want to take a look at before we move to kind of the full song mix segment is the boost function in the Lang preamp. And it's kind of a similar approach to throwing a Cloudlifter before preamp. It's for dynamic mics and ribbon mics. You get a little bit of an impedance boost and a gain boost if you need it. Man, there's so much gain available in this. You'll see in a minute. I've taken my 1932 RCA PB90 ribbon mic. It's kind of the precursor to the 44 series, and the first year they made ribbon mics, which is pretty cool. So I've taken that guy because it needs a lot of gain. It's a picky little mic. So I'm going to take that and feed it into the Lang, and we're going to use the boost function. Then I'm actually going to compare that to running a Cloudlifter in front of one of the API preamps, because I think that's probably one of the most real-world scenarios to do a comparison of. So let's take a listen to the old RCA ribbon mic going into the Lang with the impedance boost, and we'll compare that to the Cloudlifter going into one of the API preamps. At this point, we've heard all the individual instruments going through the Lang preamps and the APIs and gone back and forth. Now we're going to move to kind of the full mix segment. So I've done a full mix of the song and put the exact same mix settings on all the Lang preamp tracks and all the API tracks so that we can go back and forth. This is our baseline. So what I want to do first is I just want to focus on all of the tracks that we recorded with the Lang preamps. I did a digital bounce of my mix, and so you're going to hear all the Lang preamps mixed digitally with all my settings in the mix session. And then I'm actually going to take those and run them into the Lang preamps. And to do that, I'm going to use the Mini Bus by McLoon Audio. I've done a review of this. You can check this out. McLoon has a bunch of really cool summing solutions. The Mini Bus is actually going to take that line level signal down to mic level so that I can just feed my mix right into the preamp. So it's kind of a similar approach to if Heritage made an API console and you're going to mix through it. So we've taken all of the Lang mix preamp tracks and we're going to feed it into the Lang preamp, and then we're going to compare that to the digital mix as a baseline so that we can start moving forward and hear some other comparisons. So all the Lang preamp tracks mixed going into the Lang preamps compared to just the digital mix. Let's hear that.
To break free. Is anybody ever really ready for this? I know we're all just winging it, and I keep trying to write this song. Revision 3. Well, how do you sum up legacy in the midst of minor chords? So you force the major lift, taught me that. I can't seem to get past cycles in my head.
that kind of recreated an analog mix flow of having the Lang preamps as your 2-bus, as kind of an analog console. So you heard the Lang preamp tracks that are mixed feeding into the Lang preamps for a little bit more color. Now we're going to compare that and take the mixed Lang preamp tracks and we're going to feed them into the API preamps. I'm not going to use the master section. I've done a ton of videos of comparing the differences between just mixing into 2 API preamps as opposed to mixing into the center section of the console. You can go find those videos. We won't go down that rabbit hole for this video. But what I want to focus on now is the difference between those tracks being fed into 2 Lang preamps as your master bus processing, as opposed to feeding them into 2 API preamps as your master bus. So again, mixed Lang preamp tracks feeding into the Lang preamps compared to the mixed Lang preamp tracks feeding into 2 of the API preamps. So just trying to be thorough here and very clear so you know what's going on. So let's hear those 2.
To break free. Is anybody ever really ready for this? I know we're all just winging it, and I keep trying to write this song. It's on revision 3. How do you sum up legacy in the midst of minor chord? So you force the major lift, Leonard Cohen taught me that. I can't seem to get past cycles in my head. Maybe time can deal with that.
I know a lot of people in the kind of API community are very opinionated about OpAmp, so I want to do some OpAmp swapping. Heritage has actually designed their own OpAmp that is socketed and removable. As the HA880, I believe. So what I have done is I have popped open my console. Let me see if I can get this back in here. I popped open the API console and I pulled out 2 API OpAmps so that we can swap some OpAmps in the Lang preamp. Heritage was actually nice enough to send me a few extra OpAmps because I was originally going to put the Lang OpAmps into the API preamps for another comparison. But unfortunately, when I popped open my box console, that was going to be a little bit more difficult than I thought it was for the actual preamp channels. I would have had to remove a bunch of stuff, take a bunch of knobs off the front, and I'm actually trying to sell the console right now. So just seemed a little risky. I didn't want to risk messing anything up right before I sell the console. So for this, I'm just going to stick to the Lang preamps because I think this is going to be, a little bit more of a comparison most people are going to be interested anyway. So we're going to swap OpAmps in the Lang preamp, and I'm going to, again, take the mixed Lang preamp tracks, feed them into the Lang preamp, and you're going to hear the difference between the Lang preamps in there, or the Lang OpAmps in there, and the API OpAmps. So let's do an OpAmp swap in the Lang preamps and see what happens over the full mix.
To break free. Is anybody ever really ready for this? I know we're all just winging it, and I keep trying to write this song. It's on revision 3. How do you sum up legacy in the midst of minor chord?
The last thing we'll do is we're going to hear the full mix, the cumulative full mix. What I have done for this is that I have taken all of the Lang recorded preamp channels, mixed them, and fed them into the Lang preamp, which you've already heard. And then I'm going to flip to all of the API recorded preamp channels that have the same mix settings and are level matched. And I'm going to feed those into 2 of the API preamps. So at this point, it's a very cumulative thing as we wrap this up. All of the API preamps mixed into 2 API preamps, all of the Lang preamp channels mixed and recorded into 2 of the Lang preamp channels. So this will give you a good overall kind of idea of the big differences between the preamps and a cumulative context fully mixed. So we will wrap it up with that. One last thing I just want to point out, again, there are full session files available. I'll include a link in the description. I have level matched everything perfectly. I'll double check the sessions as usual and make sure I didn't screw anything up. But download those and go back and forth and, put your own mix settings on there, push things, see if you can hear differences, and, should give you a pretty good foundation to decide if the Langs are a good choice. So let's do the full mix of Lang and API and go back and forth.
Easier said in sympathies. How do you sum up legacy? It's all that's left behind. How do you conquer circumstance? Is this the way the torture's passed? Unintentionally. Is anybody ever really ready for this? I think we're all just winging it. La da 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 da. 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 I thought of you the other day. Reached for the phone and pulled away. All habitually. Pain is never linear. Our minds get locked in cycles. It takes time to break free. Is anybody ever really ready for this? I know we're all just winging it. And I keep trying to write this song. It's on revision 3. How do you sum up legacy? In the midst of minor chord. So you force the major lift. Leonard Cohen taught me that. I can't seem to get past cycles in my head. Maybe time can deal with that. da